So I don't like to say someone or some entity is hating or a hater unless I have substantial proof. And in this particular case, when it comes to the well-known media outlet NPR, they are most certainly hating on the Daily Wire's success. They are upset at how popular conservative media is becoming. And before we get into this video, make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe button, and also get into the description box and get your next order of A Game for 10% off when you enter discount code YOUNG10. This promotes strength, energy, vitality, and libido, an all-natural herbal male solution.
This is A Game, fast-acting, long-lasting, with no side effects.
And I most definitely appreciate our sponsor, A Game. But diving into this particular story, I don't like to label people, organizations to be haters unless I got some evidence to back it up. And earlier today, NPR published a hit piece on the Daily Wire. And I looked over the entire hit piece, and I will link it in the description box so you can look over it yourself. But to sum it up, the hit piece first off starts about talking about how massively successful the Daily Wire is, a publication that I use quite often on this channel as one of my sources. The Daily Wire's success has been tremendous on social media platforms, in particular Facebook. And this author for NPR, they go into great detail about how much more successful the Daily Wire is as far as user engagement, likes, comments, all of that, in comparison to all other media outlets on Facebook in particular, but in social media in general, by a wide margin, according to NPR themselves. Not barely, they are blowing other media outlets out of the water. And NPR is trying every trick in the book to try to discredit the Daily Wire. And I gotta speak out on this because I am a fan of the Daily Wire. I love, oftentimes, the writing style, how concise many of their articles are, how their articles are very interesting and get to the point. They're not overly lengthy, they're not overly drawn out. And in this NPR hit piece, this author had the nerve to act as if that the Daily Wire has been hiding the fact that they are conservative media. If you just read the titles of any of their articles, you know they're coming from a more conservative perspective. And the author of this NPR hit piece, he's trying to be slick because he's using a tactic that I'm dubbing hating by proxy, because he starts to quote this person by the name of Jamie Settler, who studies political psychology. He's a director at a college, and he starts giving his reasoning for why the Daily Wire has been so successful, and a lot of it is mostly discrediting what the Daily Wire has done, discrediting their success by saying, oh, they're just trying to capitalize on people's outrage, they're just trying to push conservative agendas, they use a lot of conservative buzzwords in their headlines. All of his complaints are things that can easily be applied to any liberal, left-leaning publication. All of his complaints can easily be applied to the other side. And the Street Conservative has said this many times, so have other conservative content creators and media publications. There is a red conservative wave that is coming in society today because the left is trying to push the whole society too far to the left, my left. They're trying to push society over the cliff, too far to the left, to the point where the average person who is not even political is looking at people on the left like you guys are nuts. You guys are pushing a lot of things that are making a lot of people who are not political whatsoever uncomfortable. And the left keeps on doing this, and the left is wondering why the other side is gaining popularity, gaining more momentum. See, I used to be more left-leaning myself. I've said this before. But the left's anti-masculinity, anti-family, anti-traditionalist rhetoric movements, they've been pissing me off this whole time. So what do you think happened? What do you think happened over time? I got tired of y'all. And funny enough, NPR tries to present themselves as being unbiased, which is insane because they are clearly left-leaning. But they will try to present themselves as we're unbiased. Every single media outlet is biased. All of them are. And they're biased because the people who operate them are biased. That's what it is. Human beings are biased. That is a natural thing. And anyone that tries to present themselves as being unbiased is not only biased, but they're also a liar. Because human beings are naturally biased. So, according to Daily Wire, NPR accuses Daily Wire of tricking readers because we're conservative. That's a lie, but NPR is lying to its own readers. Yes, I looked over the whole hit piece and they are lying. They're outright saying that the Daily Wire is not letting its audience know that it's conservative. And it clearly states at the bottom of every single article, it clearly states the Daily Wire is one of America's fastest growing conservative media companies and countercultural outlets for news, opinion, and entertainment. It says this in every single article. If you read the headlines, you know it's not no liberal, it's not no far left outlet. So that's part of what the hit piece was also saying, that, oh, their success is only because they're hiding the fact that they're actually conservative. That is truly a hater comment right there. They're saying they're only successful because they're trying to hide, or one of the reasons why they're successful is that they're trying to hide the fact that they're really a conservative outlet. Come on, man. You know what perspective they come from. Similar to my channel, you know that I come from a more conservative, traditional perspective. In a hit piece published Monday, publicly funded NPR accused the Daily Wire of tricking Americans who engage with our news stories, asserting that readers or those who engage with our content might not know we're conservative, even though, as NPR admits in the piece, Daily Wire openly discloses bias on its About page. So they straight up lying. And I disclose my bias on my About page as well. And the term bias can have a negative connotation, but just because a person is biased, that does not mean that they are being untruthful. For example, if my brother had a boxing match with your brother, I would be partial in that situation. I would be biased. I would want my brother to knock your brother out, win the fight. But if my brother ended up getting knocked out in that fight, I could still be honest and say he got knocked out. He lost the fight, fair and square. So just because an entity or a person has a perspective that they come from, has a bias, that doesn't mean that they are by default being untruthful. The claim by NPR is of course intentionally misleading, not to mention glaringly ironic. Yes. Not only does Daily Wire disclose that we have a general point of view on our website, but we also add a disclosure statement on every single news piece published at the site, emphasizing that we have a conservative bias. Our podcast hosts too are all openly conservative. Here's what our disclosure on every article looks like. As I showed, NPR, which is in part funded indirectly by our tax dollars, is clearly a left-leaning entity. Yes. Does NPR disclose its bias? Of course not. Not anywhere, nor has the site complained about left-leaning sites and outlets which claim to be objective, refusing to disclose their bias to consumers. Spot on. They are projecting. They are straight up projecting. Notably, NPR, we are not a traditional news source, suggesting this is because we are biased, unlike legacy media, which would include outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and NPR. So in that hit piece, they're suggesting that outlets like the New York Times, they're not biased. That's what they are suggesting. Really, the New York Times, it's not biased. They'll have staunch feminists. They'll have people clearly coming from a left-leaning perspective, or at times far left perspective, writing an article. And the language is clearly favoring one side over the other, bias. Except these media sites have an overtly left-wing slant. Therefore, it seems a news site that reports from a conservative rather than a liberal point of view is not traditional. The language, obviously strategic, again works to undermine the credibility of any news outlet that do not stay in line with the liberal narrative. Yes, that is the whole point of that hit piece. The whole point of that hit piece is to undermine and discredit the success of Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. That is the whole purpose behind it. That's it. But I'm curious what you guys think about this whole thing. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe button, and blessings to you.